My name is Tara Spann, and I am the Chief People and Strategy Officer at Mentor. Thank you. Tyree Nichols. On January 7th, Tyree Nichols, a 29-year-old black man, was violently arrested and brutally beaten after a traffic stop in Memphis, Tennessee. 3 days later, on January 10th, Tyree died of the injuries sustained from this brutal attack. 5 police officers have been charged in connection with Tyree's death, and footage of the incident will be released this evening. We here at Mentor wanted to take this moment and take this space to acknowledge this devastating tragedy and blatant disregard for human life. There are simply no words. The tragedies and realities of racism, violence, and injustice for Black people and communities of color are not new or isolated. They are systemic, and they impact young people every day. While not a full representation of law enforcement, there is clearly more work to be done. You all, as leaders of our movement, have been and are doing the important work to fight for justice, to fight for equity, to fight for basic human rights, to fight alongside and with the young people we care so deeply about. But this work, our work, never stops. We must continue to acknowledge and provide space for the trauma and emotions young people are processing. We must continue to stand as allies and offer support in this moment and every day. Most importantly, we must tend to our own emotional well-being so that we can show up for the young people in our lives who are processing this alongside us. Our task is not to be perfect, but to be present. Our work cannot stop. We must build toward a day in which this pervasive injustice is not a reality. Over the next 90 minutes, we will be amplifying the voices and agency of our young people. They give me hope. They are why I wake up every morning and keep fighting. We have a responsibility to continue the fight for justice for all. May we all find strength in this community together.
Thank you so much to Tara and Mentor for highlighting the tragedy that has become an unfortunate culture in our beloved United States. How lucky we are to have breath in our lungs today and to see the potential of a life not cut short. I'd like to take a moment for us all to speak Tyree's name. Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. My name is Darius Harper, and I am extremely handsome. I am extremely excited to be your MC this afternoon. The last time I was with Mentor was for the 30th anniversary gala in New York City, and I have to say that handsome joke landed just a little bit better. Just kidding, it bombed. All jokes aside, as a Mentor success story myself, I think back to a younger me who lived in homeless shelters with my mother, and who more often than not would call Motel 6 home. I think of how hard that kid used to pray to find a community to save him, and here I am today. A Broadway performer, an internationally acclaimed artist, an educator amongst a beautiful community of incredibly inspirational people. So thank you for seeing me and for having me today. This afternoon, we're going to embark on an amazing journey. Thank you. Thank you so much. This afternoon, we're going to embark on an amazing journey fueled by some incredible storytelling. We'll get an inside look at the power of mentoring and get a glimpse at some powerful success stories. Speaking of stories, our first speaker today knows a thing or two about the power of mentoring and words. The first Latina writer to pen a Marvel comic, please welcome the inimitable Gabby Rivera.
How handsome is Darius, everyone? Hello, you beautiful and courageous folks. It is so exciting to be in community with all of you. Also, my gorgeous partners right there. Wave to everyone, baby. Let them know. I am so thankful to be here speaking on behalf of Mentorship and to witness the vibrant, loving group that Mentor has gathered here today. I'd like everyone to take a look around the room. Seriously, please, take a good look at everyone sitting next to you, at everyone here united in their commitment to uplifting young folks and anyone else in need of care and thoughtful guidance. Look how many of you showed up today. This is community. This is mentorship in action. And please, it's important to name that we are still in the middle of a global pandemic that has forever changed life as we know it. And we live in a country where mass shootings and state-sanctioned violence against Black communities, indigenous communities, communities of color, and LGBTQ people are unrelenting. And still, we are here together. We get to tap into the healing energies of connection, purpose, and storytelling, and breathe deep with possibility. All of that together is part of the magic of mentoring. Because even when we are scared and feeling lost and holding so much grief, there is someone there to hold our hands and offer care. And it's that type of care and love that allows me to be here with you all and share my story. Like Darius said, I'm Gabby Rivera. I'm a queer Puerto Rican writer from the Bronx. Listen, you say Puerto Rican, there's like 10 of us everywhere. Julia Takes a Breath is a novel about a queer, chubby Puerto Rican girl taking on sexism, racism, and feminism while being an unapologetically queer brown girl from the block. I indie published my book in 2016, and then in 2019, Penguin Random House republished it, and Latina Magazine dubbed it the dopest LGBTQ YA novel ever, and all of that magic brought Marvel Comics to me. I am the first Latina to write for Marvel Comics. Woo! I penned the solo series for America Chavez, who is also Marvel's first queer Latina superhero. I am a first-time mama, and above everything, I am a nerdy, joyful storyteller. And without mentors in my life, I wouldn't be here, thriving. Mentors have been a crucial element to my joy and my growth, and without mentors, I wouldn't be a published writer. I never thought I could be an author. Baby G, oh my gosh, growing up in the Bronx, I didn't see any authors walking around. I saw hardworking people hustling to the bus to catch the train, trying to make ends meet. In my mind, I couldn't be a writer because writers were white, rich people. They were brilliant somehow, and they knew people who knew people who knew people. And I was just some scrappy queer kid from the Bronx, daughter of a teacher and a salesman, strict, loving, dedicated Puerto Rican mom and dad, and from them I learned that I could build a life, but I didn't imagine I could be free. Free to truly be myself and live a life dedicated to queerness and storytelling. I was so afraid to even imagine being an author. But I knew I wanted to write, so I signed up for all the things, right? The workshops, the open mics, the free classes. I started meeting other writers, people who were making a life doing this work, and still something in my head made me feel so separate. Like, nah, that could never be me. So why should I even try? And what's funny is that the universe always has a way of bringing our secret fears into the light. Because all of a sudden, an established writer friend of mine, Ariel Gore, asked me to submit a story to her anthology, and I said no. Can you believe it? I said no. I said no, because my imposter syndrome ran so deep that even when an opportunity to fulfill my dreams of being an author was presented to me, I refused it, and I let that fear win. And here's where the mentorship came in and saved the day, because Ariel could have said, all right, never mind. She could have asked a million other people to submit this story, but she didn't. She paused, she gently held my fear, and she asked, but what if you just tried? And that stopped me in my tracks, because there was no pressure, there was no expectation. She just loved me and supported me with 2 words, just try. So I did. I just tried. And I wrote a short story that would be the beginnings of my novel, Juliet Takes a Breath. And I submitted that short story, and she put it in her anthology, and that anthology went on to win a bunch of awards, and it led Ariel to ask me another question that would forever change the course of my life. What if you turned that short story into a novel? Yo, what if? What if someone believed in you so much that they asked you a question that was all your unspoken hopes and dreams? And what if that person offered to help you stay focused, to read through your work, and offer all their professional networks, the agents, the publishers, to make sure that you achieved your goals? What if? Because then maybe you would know you weren't alone, and that maybe these wild, unattainable dreams of yours could actually come true. And so you write that book, you make that movie, you apply for that program, and you get to run around wild with abundance and possibility, because mentorship is future casting work. It is life-saving work. When we meet someone that believes in us, we begin to believe in ourselves, and the possibilities are endless. Writing that novel busted open so many doors for me, just some whoever, nobody kid. And it brought Marvel Comics to me, and they offered me their own queer Latina character, and they asked me to write her story, and out of all the things that you could put in a comic book, I was like, she has to have a mentor. That must be a crucial part of her journey. America Chavez is one of the most powerful superheroes in the Marvel universe. Like, she can literally punch portals into other dimensions. She was already queer, but essentially, she was alone because her moms had already sacrificed themselves to the universe. And all I could think about was, damn, how crushed she would feel to not have someone rooting for her or encouraging her. How many of our young Black and brown girls, Asian girls, Indigenous girls are out there feeling like nobody is rooting for them? And I thought about all the superheroes that could be a mentor for America. And I was like, there's only one. There's literally only one, and that is Storm from the X-Men. Storm. Powerful Black queen, African goddess, commander of the elements, wise, radiant, ready to rumble. I crafted scenes where Storm and America worked together to build up her power, her spirit, where they showed vulnerability and tenderness to each other. Of all the things she learned, Storm teaches America to meditate, to quiet all the distractions around her, to focus on her inner voice. And even in moments when America's not getting it, Storm steps up, she spars with her, she shows America how powerful she truly is. She even brings America Chavez to her most sacred learning space to offer unlimited access to knowledge and truth. And that's exactly what mentorship has offered me time and time again. Ariel gave me permission to write. And when I was thinking about Storm and America Chavez's relationship, I used my own relationship with the Reverend Canon Kelly Brown Douglas, the preeminent Black womanist theologian, Dean of Episcopal Studies at Union Theological Seminary, and God grandmother to my baby, as inspiration for that care and that guidance. And so if Ariel gave me permission to write, then Kelly gave me permission to fly. And I wanted America to soar, high and free, surrounded by love and support. And so to everyone here, please know that every time you choose mentorship, you are doing that future casting work. You are embodying that spirit-lifting, supernova, storm from the X-Men kind of magic. You are choosing to share your gifts and offerings with others because you believe in abundance. And you know that with care and intention, all things are possible. Because when we mentor, when we are mentored, we tap into the very things that make us super. And just because you're not wearing a cape doesn't mean that you aren't a hero. Thank you all so much.
Gabby Rivera! Gabby. I have to hug you. Just incredible. I mean, two queer people of color on stage in Washington, D.C. making a difference. This is incredible. Gabby, I have a few questions for you, if you don't mind.
Let's do it.
You once said that as a kid, you would look at superheroes and see everything that you weren't. Do you consider yourself a hero today?
Oh my gosh. Sure, right? Like we're all heroes sometimes.
Hero,
when we
right?
move with love and grace and care, when we save ourselves, when we work in partnership with our communities, when we show up, when we hold hands, when we hold grief, when we hold power and joy, all of us are doing that hero magic, hero work.
Yes. We can applaud that.
They've been applauding me.
Then they'll continue to, Gabby. You know, I really would consider you a hero myself, not only for penning America Chavez, but for being an ally for LGBTQIA+ voices. Intersectionality can be very tough, but we know the power of representation is immeasurable. So thank you for that, Gabby. In your sector of the Marvel Universe, Storm is America's mentor. Shout out to Storm.
Always.
Shout out to Storm. Can you speak to your experience with your own mentor, Reverend Kelly Brown Douglas? What has mentorship meant to you?
Oh my gosh, first of all, Kelly Brown Douglas is incredible. She has written so many works like Sexuality and the Black Christ. She has written so many things. She just won the Hallmeyer Award for Union Theological Excellence.
Wow.
And Kelly has just always loved me, right? Like, she was my teacher in college. And when I first got to college, I just felt like I wasn't ready. I wasn't smart enough. All I knew how to do was just write poetry. And Kelly was a professor at the time, and she encouraged me to bring that poetry into my writing. And she saw that my voice and my spirit were like this valuable thing, and not something that I should be ashamed of or feel like I'm less than, but something that like would make me grow and be great.
That's beautiful, Gabby.
Yeah, thank you.
That's
So
beautiful.
wonderful,
Yes.
Darius.
From another
Thank you, everybody.
queer New York Cityer, I'm lifting you up and wishing you the best, Gabby.
Thank you so
Yes,
much.
thank you. Incredible. And that's just the tip of the iceberg of what we're going to see here today, guys. Next up, I would like to introduce Imhotep Simba. Imhotep is a native of Baltimore who joined the Mentoring Male Teens in the Hood Mentoring Program when he was just 7 years old. Since then, he has become a mentor himself, both nationally and abroad, during his time in the Peace Corps. Imhotep is here to share his story today. Give him a round of applause.
Greetings, folks. Hope all is well and copacetic. I'm sure folks are hungry. I know folks got flights, so I'll try to be brief. I've been allocated 5 minutes, so that's the challenge. So as Darius shared, my name's Imhotep Simba. I was born and raised in West Baltimore in the Upton community. For folks who may be a little bit more familiar with Baltimore, right up the block from Murphy Homes. That was a housing project, and unfortunately, you know, as people always flag occasionally, folks reference The Wire. Some truth, some not necessarily truth, but some of those narratives came from that particular housing project. So I want to really just touch on briefly the impact and the significance of that mentoring has had on my life. But I want to provide a little bit of context and background. So as I shared, grew up in the Upton community, single-parent household, primarily with my mom and older sister. Know of my dad. Our relationship has certainly grown and fostered over the years, being a dad myself. But it was tough. We didn't really have much. Mom had a job here and there. A lot of times she didn't, and she spent a lot of her time investing into myself, following me, you know, kind of shadowing me in school up until middle school. So that was pretty, you know, not necessarily easy. I don't want to say embarrassing, but somewhere in between. But yeah, she kept me really tight, until I kind of hit that adolescent stage. And granted, we're all in the field of mentoring in some shape, form, or capacity. We may be familiar with some of the realities when single mothers are attempting to rear young brothers of color. And so eventually, you know, kind of got from under my mother's wing, per se, and kind of unfortunately got caught up in some of the harsh realities that plagued my community. Eventually becoming a justice-impacted youth, and numerous other challenges that I'll digress on for the time being. But despite these things and realities, we didn't have much, not really a lot of income, a lot of attending a lot of giveaways and things of that nature. She was always mindful and resourceful of resources at large and the Mentoring Male Teens in the Hood program, as Darius referenced. Joined in 1998 when I was 7 years old. You were supposed to be 8, but she said, look, this brother can benefit from him, let him in, if you'll be so gracious. So I was permitted to partake in the mentoring program. Stuck with it until I was about maybe 14, 15, and then kind of took a step back as I was kind of finding my own way. Until I lost a good friend who I considered a brother. Unfortunately, you know, observed his transition firsthand, and when I reference transition, I mean his death. And that really hit home for me, because I felt like at that point in time in my journey, I had observed what could potentially become a reality of my own, and I really had to think and reflect on what was the appropriate path forward for myself. And then a bulb went off, and that bulb came from the Mentoring Male Teens in the Hood program. And I realized that, you know, the program and the mentors weren't just kind of sharing narratives, wisdom, and knowledge off some, you know, do the right thing-ish because they were older, but they were really providing me the seeds that would essentially be pivotal to help me to get to where I am today. And because of that, I really felt the need to kind of pay it forward to the next generation of youth who were in that program and other programs throughout Baltimore City. And so as a result, I just kind of ended up going back to the same programs that kind of had helped me at that point. At that point, I was approximately 17, about to transition to undergrad, thankfully. But I went back to those same programs, and I kind of connected the dots for the young brothers to kind of share just that. It's not, you know, just do the right thing because they're older, but it's truth to it. And indirectly, from that kind of was the initial kind of steps to a career in development and public service. Attended Coppin State University, a historically black college and university in West Baltimore. Appreciate that. The love is here. I graduated spring 2015, BA in Global Studies. Not too long after that, I had the privilege and opportunity of leading a national mentoring initiative in Southwest Baltimore funded by OJJDP, primarily focusing on group and one-on-one mentoring services as a solution to mitigate youth delinquency, primarily with young brothers of color in middle school. Led that for 2 years. Not too long after, had the opportunity to serve abroad with the Peace Corps in Ecuador. Saludos a la gente. Ya estamos, pues. Where I had an opportunity to kind of pay forward some of those same nuggets that helped me to make the transition to young brothers of color who were going through their own journeys. I served at a center called Casa de las Niñas Número 2, which was essentially a rehabilitation center for brothers who had experience with substance abuse and experience living in the street. And a lot of that project and programming was based around basic fundamentals, SMART goals, having a vision for where you want to go, working through conflict, reflecting on the long-term consequences. And that was priceless. Just to kind of fast forward, after returning from the Peace Corps, worked at a government contractor called DAI, supporting projects in Zambia and Uganda, focused on economic growth through agricultural solutions. And today I presently work at the Annie E. Casey Foundation with their Juvenile Justice Strategy Group. Appreciate it. So just to wrap up, because I see I'm here at time, briefly just want to touch on the compound interest. As a result of mentoring male teens in the hood, not only did it help another youth out and another brother, but as a result of that, it led to a career in development and service and an opportunity to pay it forward to other young brothers here in Baltimore, but also brothers in Ecuador. As a result of that career, I had an opportunity to take young brothers of color to the White House, young brothers from West Baltimore to the White House during the Obama administration. Had an opportunity to work with young brothers in the Andes region. One of the scholars I worked with at that rehabilitation center is now enrolled full-time at Espe University, which is a local military university, pursuing his higher education. He came from the streets or community of San Roque, underprivileged community in Quito. And lastly, it's paved the way for the next generation. I'm also a father. And despite, being a father, doing fairly well, I still take my son back to the program, and that it's been a program I've been with for a quarter century. So when we think about the power of mentoring, it's not just what we're doing on a daily basis, but the things and the people we're investing in that will essentially, if we do it the right way, value that and pave the way for the next generation. So it's kind of a compounding interest. Anyway, it's been a pleasure with you all. Please travel safe as you return home, and please keep doing what you're doing and pay it forward. Peace and love.
Incredible. Wow, I'm so impressed with Imhotep and his vulnerability in teaching us how important it is to break generational curses. One of those being young black men and men of color accepting their premature mortality. So thank you so much, Imhotep, for touching on that today. I'm a believer that at its core, mentoring is about access. And it is through that access that learning and possibility become endless. Our Excellence in Mentoring Awards highlight individuals who leverage that access to share the power of mentoring with the people. Here to tell you more about this award, please welcome Jimena Delgado, Senior Vice President and ESG Program Manager from Bank of America Charitable Foundation.
Hi there. This is my first time here, so this has been an awesome, awesome experience. I'm here representing Bank of America's Charitable Foundation to introduce the final Excellence in Mentoring Award winner. At Bank of America, we are committed to helping communities grow and thrive, and mentoring is an integral part of that. We are proud to invest in nonprofits across the country to provide opportunities to young people that infuse meaningful relationships and resources in their work and life experiences. We will continue to use our influence to raise awareness about the powerful impact of mentoring in partnership and alongside many others like our next award winner. The Public Elevation Award is given to an individual or organization who uses their influence and public platform to encourage, support, and draw awareness to mentoring. This year's award winner is Marcus Colston, who personifies what it means to give back to your community with intention and integrity. Marcus is a former New Orleans Saints wide receiver and a member of the New Orleans Saints Hall of Fame. Since his retirement, that's right, woohoo! Since his retirement, Marcus has infused mentorship into all aspects of his career. He is the founder of Marcus Colston Enterprises, a professional development service company which empowers organizations and growth-minded individuals to unlock creativity and the possibility to experience sustainable business success. He also launched venture investing and entrepreneurship for professional athletes, an executive education program at Columbia Business School, and has created the Marcus Colston Fellowship in Health at Hofstra University. Since 2020, Marcus has served as an ambassador for Son of a Saint, an organization dedicated to transforming the lives of fatherless young males through mentorship and support. As a son who lost his father during his teenage years, Marcus distinctively understands the unique challenges that young men of Son of Saints face. Over the last several years, Marcus has lent his presence, influence, and social cachet to help the mission of Son of Saint, while also helping to inform the methodology of the program and how its participants are provided with holistic services, supports, and resources. As an ambassador, Marcus has stepped up in an impactful way to provide life skills curriculum, time, and financial resources that directly benefit the young mentees enrolled in the organization. In the height of the pandemic, he launched Receiving Game, a 6-week course focused on how young students can apply principles related to life skills and education to their future outlooks at a pivotal in their adolescent development. This program has evolved to include in-person sessions with Marcus and serves as a tangible example of his ongoing dedication and commitment to expanding opportunities for young people. Unfortunately, Marcus is unable to be here in person, but he was able to share some remarks with us by video. Please turn your attention to the screens.
Good afternoon, everyone. I apologize I couldn't be there with you in person today, but I did want to take this opportunity to share a few remarks and my gratitude virtually. First, I want to start by thanking Son of a Saint for nominating me for this Excellence in Mentorship Award, and thank you to Mentor for this great honor. I also want to congratulate the other honorees. I'm truly humbled to be recognized alongside other individuals who have chosen to invest in the next generation. Like many of you, my journey hasn't been a straight line. I lost my father at age 14, and it was a crushing loss at a critical time in my development. I didn't just lose my dad. I lost a mentor, a coach, a role model, and a friend. My family and community provided moral support where they could, but I just didn't have access to anyone who had accomplished what I was setting out to do. There was no path to follow, and I had to build each step as I moved along. In a journey like that, it's not efficient at all. I had to overcome a ton of knowledge gaps, and I lacked firsthand experience in many critical areas. But somehow, my dream survived the struggle. And I've been able to navigate through success and failure to achieve the things that I once dreamed about. And I know there are many young men out there facing a similar battle. And that is what inspires my work as Son of a Saint and beyond. My mission is to support these young men in ways that the younger me needed. I know that access to their dreams and aspirations will be stifled because of the zip code that they were born into. They'll be underestimated and undervalued at every turn because they don't look like traditional success. But despite those obstacles, many of these young men have learned to survive the adversity and keep fighting. Their grit and perseverance is a beacon of hope and possibility. But imagine what could be possible if they had access to experiences and resources, not just to survive, but to thrive. And as we all convene today, I urge us all to continue to commit to unlocking those possibilities, not as an act of charity, but as an investment that is critical to securing our collective vision for the future. Thank you.
Here to accept the award on behalf of Marcus are representatives from Son of a Saint.
I think I can speak for everyone in the room when I say this award was very well deserved. Mentoring takes hard work and dedication, and Marcus beyond embodies that. From enriching insight to stepping up and being hands-on, I'd like us all to give Marcus another round of applause. The beautiful thing about mentoring is that we can pull inspiration from many places. True, wisdom comes with time and experience, but we are all wonderfully and differently made. And that is being made abundantly clear today by these incredible ceiling shatterers that we're spotlighting. I'm a huge proponent of peer-to-peer mentoring, as peers have this beautiful way of relating to one another, in turn creating incredible opportunities to explore, whether that be through hobbies, sharing the perfect burger joint, or even a career. Many of us step into adulthood unsure of our exact path, and that's okay. I am so excited to introduce the next segment, where we'll hear from a panel of individuals who have engaged in career exploration through mentorship. Please welcome Lily Mendez, President and CEO of Mentor's Massachusetts affiliate, Mass Mentoring, who will serve as our moderator and introduce us to our panelists today. Lily?
Hello, everyone. While the panelists take their seat, I just want to look at you. And to quote my nephew, who's 4 years old, when he bubbles over with joy, and he says, wow, wow, wow. That's how I feel this morning. So as you heard, I'm Lily. I have the proud honor of leading Mass Mentoring Partnership. Yay! So we are an affiliate that just celebrated 30 years, and we exist to support, to enhance, to spread, to just make sure that every young person in Massachusetts has access to mentoring relationships. So thank you all for being here and for being present. And now I get to introduce our panel, our illustrious panel. So I have Fatuma Halole, thank you, and Gabby Roberts. They are a mentor match from Nebraska who are part of the Step Up program. And I need to give a little shout out to Melissa Mayo, my counterpart in Nebraska, and her team. And we're also joined with Tatiana Thomas and Lisa Maturundola. I told you I was going to mess that up, but I'm sorry for that.
It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect.
A mentor match from my home state of Massachusetts who are part of a program through Partners for Youth and Disabilities, PYD. So thank you so much. So I'm going to start with you, Tatiana.
Okay.
What made you want a mentor?
I wanted a mentor because my school in Somerville High School, where I'm there in the transition, did not give me the opportunity to speak up who I wanted to be. I also wanted a mentor who has a disability like myself. That I found my mentor through PYD. I took all the opportunities to find someone who I really had connections with. She is one of my role models. She's like my big sister. She helps me and my family learn the disability skills. And as a person with a disability, people who see people as who are not disabled does not know the disability system. I also wanted her to help me to speak up for my job, that I'm still there today.
That's wonderful. Thank you. And Lisa, as you further introduce yourself, do you want to share a little bit more about the mentoring story?
Oh, I am so blessed to have such a great mentee. Tatiana and I have been working together for 5 years. And first, we did recreational activities, and And that was good. But I said to Tatiana, what do you want more? As she was going through high school, and her school didn't give her the support. She had an IEP plan that the teachers weren't supportive. And as somebody who knows the workforce system, as her mentor, I said, well, let's start a career path. Let's try to develop things together. So we started with doing career counseling, using a Collins SDS and a CDM, and really trying to find what her interests were. From these interest surveys and self-esteem building and role-playing, she decided she wanted to get a job. So we wrote a resume together. We explored different jobs. We found out through this she really liked the fields of customer service, but especially working with students. So we started a career path in that area. Then together, we helped her get a job. Her employer didn't really want to hire her because she had a disability. And that wasn't acceptable to me. So I went and I met with the employer. I talked to him. I told him about why it's so important to have diversity in the workplace. And he hired her. At first, he didn't give her very many responsibilities at all. And this was disheartening to me. So I went and I met with him again, and I met with his whole team in his office. And I talked to him about what Tatiana could do. Well, he hired her. She started off slow, learning her job. And then from there, they started to increase her skills. She did better and better. Again, building up her self-esteem. From there, she still wanted to work with students. So over the summer, we found her a volunteer. Actually, it was not a volunteer job. She got a paid position as a camp counselor working with students with disabilities. And she was very successful with that. Now, at this point, as she's leaving the school system, we're now exploring colleges and trying to find colleges that match her abilities and her interests and to give her the right support she might need.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. So, Fatima and Gabby, tell me a little bit about your program and how you're coming together and doing this work.
So my mentorship story started before I met Gabby in high school. I had an amazing mentor by the name of Allison. It was through Allison's mentorship that I realized the importance of making an impact in my high school. So I signed up for National Honor Society, I signed up for Student Council, and I got accepted into the journalism program. From there on, I met my second two mentors through College Possible. Mallory helped me sign up for scholarships. She took me on a tour to visit colleges, and it was through Mallory's mentorship that I was able to get accepted for a full ride college scholarship, and I was also accepted into all the colleges I applied for. It was then that I met Gabby through our scholarship department. Through Gabby's mentorship, I was able to just find a new way of life. I looked up to Gabby in such a way that everything she did, I wanted to do. So Gabby was a mentor. It only made sense that I would become a mentor as well. Being a mentor, I served as a freshman experience mentor where I mentored 22 students my first year. My sophomore year, I mentored 23 students, and then my senior year of college, I mentored 24 students.
Yeah, I would say through the Thompson Learning Community, a lot of what we do in our mentorship program is that college readiness portion, especially for the first year experience. At the time, there was also a second year experience that kind of prepped students to transition outside of college. And it was the first year experience that I met Fatuma. And quite frankly, being Fatuma's mentor, I realized so much about myself, and I probably wouldn't be here today without her.
Oh, that's wonderful. And one of the things I love about this panel is that we always talk about the different modalities of mentoring, and here we have an example of peer-to-peer mentoring and the importance that that is. What do you think have been the most important, and I'll ask you, Fatima, the most important pieces of your mentorship experience, both as a mentee and mentor?
I feel like the most important piece of my mentorship experience as a mentee was realizing that I had a genuine support system that wanted to see me succeed, such as Gabby, and I had people in my corner that were willing to do whatever it took to see me succeed, not only in college, but just throughout life as well. As a mentor, I think my biggest experience was finally realizing that I was somebody else's safe space. So I had my students relying on me, and to see that like the love and support that was poured into me, I then went on to pour that into my mentees as well.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. Tatiana, with working with Lisa, what do you think are the qualities that she brings in her personality that really makes you connect with her?
So Lisa and I first got together when I was 14. I joined PYD when I was 14 years old. Like, Lisa also helped me do practice interviews. Like all of us know, it's called mock interviews. She gave me advice. She even helped me practice in front of people. She's a great mentor to have.
That's nice. That's the best honor anybody could have.
Oh, wonderful. So, what made, through your experiences, what do you think are the qualities that you've developed through being in a mentoring relationship that has made you a strong mentor?
I think the most important thing that I've learned first and foremost is how to actually active listen. They kind of train you on qualities that are very important for mentorship, and I didn't realize me trying to find resources and supports before the student or before the mentee had asked for it, I wasn't being completely there for my mentee. So that's the most important thing. Remembering, especially in a peer-to-peer mentorship system, that we're all kind of learning together, and it's okay for things to be a little bit reciprocal, because then there's a more trust and there's more of that relationship that gets built, and it helps both of you complete your college experience or whatever experience you're going through.
And so, so we're going to keep it real. What have been some of the challenges that you've experienced as you've developed your relationship and the mentoring relationship?
I would say for me, it's that imposter syndrome. I feel like every day, there's something that I'm working on for myself, and therefore I can't be a mentor. But that's not true. I'm my own person, and we can, again, learn together, and we can get through situations together.
That's great. So I'm a little more familiar with PYD because they happen to be a strong partner of MMP. How has PYD, the program, supported you as mentor-mentee?
It is a wonderful program. They supported us as far as doing group activities, but also to try to teach Tatiana leadership. And they helped us along the way as we made this mentoring partnership. They do diversity trainings and educate the mentors as well as the mentees, and really develop that partnership that's so essential. And they do all sorts of things. There's very few programs like this. I can say, because I have a disability, there wasn't anything like this when I was growing up. So when I got to retire, I decided I wanted to be a mentor for PYD, because I really wish there was programs like this when I was growing up, because I think it would have made my life a lot easier. And that's what PYD does. It breaks down the barriers. It includes the students who may be left behind because they don't have mentors, to have a program, to have a sound place to learn.
Wonderful.
And to grow.
And to grow, absolutely. So we have a captured audience here, and you all have mics. So as we close out, what would you like this audience to walk away from, or walk away with, I should say?
I feel like my advice to the audience would be just to understand that all great mentors start off as scared mentees that just needed guidance and for someone to hold their hand. So on this journey to mentorship, I want you to understand the importance of being that guide, but also knowing the importance of holding someone else's hand.
I think for me, it was good to remember that there are some really incredible days where you feel like you've really gotten through to your mentees and you have been very impactful in their experience. And then there's some days where you don't feel like that at all. You feel like you've taken a step back. Either keep some sort of collage or some sort of folder on your computer for those good days. Because on those bad days, you cannot forget that you're still a good mentor and that you are still making an impact, even if you don't feel like it.
So I would say if you have a mentee, try something new and then get experience of doing something they might like. I do a lot of stuff with my mentor. I learn from that, and also learn how people with disabilities work best.
That was good. I would say, first of all, they should all congratulate themselves, everybody here, for all the hard work they do. But it comes down to the mentoring match and the organization, really pairing the right mentor and mentee together. That's essential. I would also think it's important at this point, as you move forward, to invite the business community, as you are, but again, expand and really develop mentoring programs that meet the needs of all students and all youth, and not just a select few.
Wonderful.
Because each program you do helps.
That's right, that's right. Well, I am incredibly grateful to all of you as we sit in behind. This is your story, and it's your generosity to share your story with all the folks in this room, so we are grateful for that. And we're grateful for all of you for holding space and being present for these amazing people. So thank you so much.
There we go.
Now, I am in absolute awe of the beautiful stories we've heard today. To see the places we've all come from and the places we've yet to go has been really amazing. Now, y'all know you couldn't have me here without a little music today. Yeah, you could applaud that. Not yet, though. Not yet, not yet. This next section is a little piece about overcoming adversity. Butterflies begin from having been another, as a child is born from being in a mother's womb. But how many times have you wished to be some other, someone then who you are? Yet who's to say if all were uncovered, you would like what you see? You can only be as I can only be me. You know, lots of us in this room have been beaten down time and time again, and our voices have been hushed, nearly silenced. But we gotta remember that flowers cannot bloom until it is their season, as we would not be here unless it was our destiny. But how many times have you wished to be in spaces, times, places than what you were? Yet who's to say in unfamiliar spaces you would like what you see? Loving you that you see, you can only be you, as I can only be me. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce my good friend, James Rushin, musician, educator, and all-around great human. James.
Hi, Darius.
Hi, James. I'm so thankful that you're here today, sharing in space with me and all of us here. Community has been a huge topic today, and you are one of the people who make me make sense. It's about finding your tribe, right? And the atmosphere has been a little heavy today, you know, for a while, not just today. So let's play a game.
Ooh, I love games.
Why don't we each take a moment and share something that has impacted us greatly over this weekend?
Ooh, I love that. See, I see you setting me up. You told me the details. You told me to go first already.
I'm gonna let you go first.
You know, I got the chance to see a number of workshops while I was here, and I got to hear a bunch of absolutely brilliant people speak. And there was a person named Amaris that I really got to hear.
Amaris, shout outs to Amaris.
Where
are you at? Where you at?
Absolutely incredible. And we talked a lot about, in their workshop, about how mentees are hungry for knowledge and they're hungry for responsibility. And we talked a lot about making sure that we are modeling both having a voice in the fight and having the self-care to have the energy for the fight. And at the end of it, they brought up one sentence that's gonna stick with me for the rest of my life, which is, we talk about children being the future, but we cannot forget that they are at all times the present.
Oh, okay. Yo, I almost started running laps with that one. James, thank you for that. He showed up, y'all, okay? I've got to say that I'm really impressed by everyone's bravery today in sharing their stories. So many voices go unheard, but we are the change makers, a voice for the voiceless. And even when we're sharing our stories afraid, we have to speak at the top of our lungs. We've got to remember to roar, baby. Now, some of y'all might know this song, and you're going to help me out with this one. Here we go. I used to bite my tongue and hold my breath, scared to rock the boat and make a mess. So I sat quietly, agreed politely. I guess that I forgot I had a choice. You've already pushed me past my breaking point. I fell for nothing, so I stood for nothing. You knocked me down, but I got up. Hey, already brushing off that dust. I hear it all, I see it now. Like thunder gonna break the ground. You held me down, but I got up. Hey, already brushing off that dust. I see it all, I see it now. I've got the eye of the tiger, a fighter dancing through the fire. 'Cause I am a champion, and you're gonna hear us roar. Louder, louder than a lion. 'Cause we're champions, and you're gonna hear us roar. Oh, 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 oh. Y'all know the song, sing it with me. Oh, oh, roar, oh, 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 oh. You're gonna hear us. Oh, 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 oh. Roar, oh, 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 oh. You're gonna hear us roar.
Come on!
Woo, okay. Thank you. I got to catch my breath for a second. I didn't plan to run around like that, but Lord. Agency, identity, and purpose are some of the pillars with which our next speakers operate. From marine science to urban fieldwork that makes a straight-up impact, these next young people have just begun roaring. Please join me in welcoming to the stage Maddie Galissi and Brianna Carbajal. Woo!
Hello, everybody. Wasn't that an incredible performance from Darius and James? Can we get another hand? Yeah! Wow, and what a fitting song choice to recognize all of the young people who are doing the good work today. Roar by Katy Perry. Just thank you again, Darius and James. So as they said, my name is Maddie Gillisey. I work with Big Picture Learning on their initiative Be Unbound, and I am 3 things. A class of 2021 graduate from the Met High School in Providence, Rhode Island. Hey, some applause in the house. Thank you, thank you. I am an activist who wants to see education rethought and rebuilt, and I'm a professional pirate. I spent the first 3 years of high school at a nationally ranked institution known for its rigorous AP classes and high standardized test scores. Despite being college preparatory, the only prep were assemblies on how 4-year universities were the end-all be-all of education, and one 30-minute meeting with my guidance counselor in my junior year. I felt as though, beyond a name in the gradebook and a letter assigned my academic ability, I didn't exist. My teachers didn't know that I read fantasy fiction every night before bed. They didn't know that I skipped class not to play hooky, but to see the sun before it set on my bus ride home. None of the real stuff, none of who I was, mattered to school. So why should school matter to me? I stayed in the classroom, but I tuned out. I saw that same mindset manifest with many of my peers. Do the work, take the test. Do the work, take the test. Do the work, take the test. Get the grade, get out. So I knew that something needed to change. I left behind 3 years of relationship, routine, and normalcy and transferred to the Met for my senior year. When I started there, it felt like the first Thanksgiving that I sat at the adult table. All of a sudden, I was seen. My interests determined my curriculum. The time I spent songwriting was just as valuable as my time doing the assigned reading, if not more. I got to choose what I wanted to study, and I got to take classes in Spanish, French, ocean science, marketing, composition, architectural Egyptology. For the first time in my life as a student, I was entrusted with the helm. And thanks to those who supported me at the Met, I steered true. I started my time at the Met thinking I wanted to study marine biology. I knew that I loved the sea and little else. Of course, that was a logical career choice. However, as it does, life got in the way. Due to COVID, internship opportunities were extremely limited. My advisor and I were brainstorming what I could do, and she recommended a marine engineering class offered by a local tall ship nonprofit. I looked at her and I said, Meg, engineering? Me? You've seen my transcript. You know I barely passed any of the math classes that I took at Classical. And she said, Maddie, just try it. So I did. And in that class, I discovered a new world. Diesel engines, electrical theory, life on ships with 20 sails run on ropes, and coffee and sheer willpower. I liked that class so much, I asked the captain if I could attend an in-person, month-long workforce development program meant to teach adults the basic skills necessary to enter the maritime industry. I took the bus to Newport, 2 hours each way, and earned my STCW basic safety endorsement, enabling me to work on internationally flagged vessels. Thank you. I completed hands-on firefighting training, first aid, and emergency response. I also learned that fingers do not belong near the blade of a bandsaw, which is arguably more important. I then completed a 120-hour Harbor Freight Fellowship with the organization, where I worked more closely with the engineer and the bosun on ship maintenance and regular processes. I discovered a passion for shipboard life and sailing and getting to see the ocean every morning when I woke up. It was a new way for me to engage with my love of the sea. My high school career then culminated in a 3-month voyage aboard another tall ship without running water, sailing the U.S. East Coast from Florida to Maine. Before I had even graduated, that captain from my first ship offered me a job as a deckhand educator. I spent the next 6 months climbing around in the rigging 130 feet off the water and learning how to be a mentor of sorts to the new students who came in. Not once was I told I needed a degree to make it. Not once was I told I needed a certain grade. Not once was college the end-all be-all. And then my career pivoted again. I started working for Be Unbound, providing youth perspective and program development. I saw how impactful my own high school experiences were, not only on my professional trajectory, but on my growth as a person. I want to provide the opportunity for other young people to do the same. Working with Big Picture Learning, I was immersed in a community of change makers and activists. I discovered the language to explain what was so different between my two schools. I dove into research and educational philosophy, into books with paragraphs I had to read and read and reread and reread to understand, and I learned. It's important to recognize each young person as an individually whole human being, academically and relationally. But when young people are recognized in full, beyond just a number needed to attain a certain level of funding, when they are recognized for their strengths, weaknesses, passions, and circumstance, when they know that they matter and their voice has power, that's when they'll shine. So I want to thank everyone here who help youth make their way in this world in and outside of schools. Thank you for sharing your lessons with us young folks, for recognizing our potential which would otherwise be ignored. Thank you for seeing us. The work we do is challenging, as it is rewarding. We face discouragement, disappointment, unexpected roadblocks, and burnout. But God, doesn't it feel good to help make a change? Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Brianna Carvajal. Can we give it up once more for Maddie? I am a former mentee of Step Up Women's Network and an alum, and they're sitting in the front row. So I am so excited to be here with you all today to share with you my story with mentorship and how important it is, as I'm sure you all know, and why we're here today. And I wanted to begin by actually asking you all a couple of questions. And so if it applies to you, I'd like you to raise your hand. How many of you would say you had a positive role model growing up? Someone to guide you through all aspects of life. That is so many hands, and I am not surprised considering we're at a mentorship conference. But how many of you who didn't raise your hands really wish you had that special someone in your life? And that is also an amazing set of hands. And so I think I'm preaching to the choir today when I say mentorship is absolutely critical. It means being able to go to someone with any question and receive advice. It means someone having your back when you attempt to go out of your comfort zone. And it means having someone believe in you before you ever really believe in yourself. I was a first-generation Latinx college student, and I'm happy to announce that I just graduated with my master's from Columbia University last year. Thank you. I did not do it alone, though. I did it with the help of my family, my community, and many mentors to guide me along the way. I'm from South Central Los Angeles, a beautiful, vibrant community full of the best people you'll ever know. But I did not have the same access to resources or opportunities that peers in the wealthier parts of the city had the ability to take advantage of. Then enters Step Up Women's Network, an organization full of dedicated women and femme-identifying individuals whose sole mission is to help young girls define their own path to success and assist them in reaching their dreams. Even though it's been almost a decade since Step Up and I met, they've been a large part of my journey every step of the way. I met my first Step Up mentor when I was 14 years old, and I was quite the anxious teen, questioning whether I was good enough for the world. Step Up wholly changed what I believed I was capable of. They surrounded me with several strong women figures. Some shared focus trips and tips in one day and field trips or conferences, and others opened pathways for me. For instance, my first job out of high school was through a Step Up mentor. Several of those mentors remained friends when times were tough in my undergraduate career and my next steps were unclear. They helped me recognize that all paths forward are valid and they'd be there to support me on my journey wherever it led. It's quite fair to say I have ambitious goals, My most ambitious goal as a teen was to save the world. Now, I never knew what that looked like or how, but I knew what I wanted to do was to help people. Through Step Up, I met Danny Washington, an inspiring scientist and environmental advocate. Danny and I formed a wonderful friendship, and I admired her ability to maintain her sense of identity and power as a Black woman in STEM, an historically white, male-dominated field. But seeing people like her actually saving the world through science and advocacy, I knew where my path led. With Danny's help, I realized that I, one, needed to learn more about the world, and two, needed to push people in power to make a difference for our planet through policy, which is why my master's degree is in climate science and policy today. I am now doing what I always wanted to do, helping low-income Black and brown communities like the one I came from adapt to a changing climate by placing equity at the center. Now, I never in my wildest dreams would have gotten here without the guidance, belief, and unyielding support of so many mentors throughout my life and to this day. Now, earlier I asked you all how many of you wished for a mentor when you were growing up, and quite a few hands went up. As a young person forging their own path in this world, I urge you all to be the person you always needed for someone in your life now. I promise it makes the world of a difference, and who knows, maybe, more like highly likely, your mentee will challenge and support you in your own journey as you continue to learn and grow as well. So I thank you all for allowing me to share my story with you.
Wow, these young people have been so incredibly inspiring today. I'm just floored by their tenacity and power. I know you're saying, Darius, you don't look very old yourself, but you know what they say, doesn't crack. Today has been an incredible celebration of community. An inside look at the beauty of relationships fostered through mentoring. We've really seen firsthand how transformative the power of mentorship can be. Now, some of you may say a mentor has to be someone who's older than you. Now, this concept to me seems like a missed opportunity. A mentor could very possibly be younger than you. They could be your contemporary or even 90 years old. It doesn't matter. If we're lucky, we can gain wisdom and inspiration and power from everywhere. That person might very well be right under your nose. That was the case for our next pair. From Mentor, Nebraska, please welcome Trey Gould and mentor Fred Whitted.
Good afternoon. My name is Fred Whitted, and I'm the Associate Director for Outreach and Engagement for Mentor Nebraska. And before we get started, we would just like to thank Mentor Nationals for giving us this platform and this opportunity to speak to you about the impact of mentoring. And with that being said,
good evening. My name is Trey Gould, and I'm the Outreach Coordinator for Mentor Nebraska. And I met Fred in 8th grade when I was about his height. And I met him at a career fair, and what drew me towards Fred is at his table, he had business cards and like 30 pairs of shoes. So that's what started the relationship off.
And so I get asked a lot, why did you bring shoes to a career fair? Well, at 23, I didn't even know if I was in the right career myself. But I knew I had to build a caseload. I knew I needed to attract students. And the only way I knew to do that was be authentically me. So I started off my career in mentoring in Jordans, and no matter how far I go, I will always be mentoring in Jordans. So in the 8th grade, I began to meet with Trey consistently on a weekly basis, talk about academics, talk about personal goals, talk about professional goals. But he soon transitioned to high school. And so what did I do? I soon transitioned to high school. I left the Urban League of Nebraska and joined Metropolitan Community College, working in the TRIO department. That gave me opportunity to work with area high schools within the Omaha area, including Omaha North. Now, one thing you might not know about me that I'm proud to say, I'm a member of the Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, rude to the bros, and I'm sorry for everybody else. But with doing so, we have an auxiliary program called the Omega Squires with the cardinal principles for the curriculum based off professional development, leadership, scholarship, and fitness.
And I'm grateful for the opportunity that Fred mentioned. I was a part of Omega Squires. It not only did it teach me how to be a leader in and out the classroom, but it also taught me how to serve my community. And during my high school career, my older brother got caught in some trouble that forced him to move out of state and forced me not to have a traditional senior year in high school. I was forced to do all my work online, and I didn't even go to school my senior year.
And so his older brother, Robert, was another student that I had on my caseload. So I gotta be honest, I grew frustrated with Robert. I was disappointed. We had built Trey's senior year up to be magnificent. We had all these opportunities and they were stripped of him, and not because of a decision that he made, but because of someone else. So when we talk about consistency and mentoring, it's very hard to be consistent. Think about it. How hard is it to go to work every day? When you first get onto the job, what do? They automatically give you sick days. So that tells you that you're not supposed to be there every day. But when it comes to mentoring, you have to be consistent. You have to think more than yourself. So I, again, transitioned yet again from Metropolitan Community College to the University of Nebraska at Omaha, also known as UNO. But very shortly after my transition, I was truly followed by a familiar face.
So then I graduated high school, and then I started my undergrad at UNO. And the first person I went to go see my first day of school was Fred. And I told him, every day I come into UNO, my first stop would be his office.
And let me tell you, he did not disappoint. He was in my office every day, no matter if I had work to do, if I had no work to do. It didn't matter if I even had other students in my office. He was there. Even so much so, he would be there when I wasn't in my office. But I was so proud of Trey because he advocated for himself. He knew he needed a safe haven. He needed a place where he could be authentically himself, and I was given that platform. So for that, I'm forever grateful for Trey.
During the time, Fred had me seeing many successes that I had, but later in my college year, my freshman year, my older brother had passed away. And during that time, I found out the news when I was at work. And then I rushed home, I looked in the living room, and it was my whole family and Fred right beside them.
You know, when tragedy struck in Trey's life, I didn't understand the loss of a sibling. I couldn't quantify it. But I was even asked to speak at his older brother's funeral. So while trying to console him, while to support his family, I didn't know that I was actually preparing myself for my own tragedy. November 30th, 2020, that same year, my sister, Kristen Whitted, was gunned down in St. Louis, Missouri. To bring her story full circle, her murder trial just concluded this past Monday. So I have every reason not to be here on this stage, but he is the reason I am here on this stage because
a little bit after the time my brother passed and during the time of Fred's older sister passed, I kind of lost myself. I stopped going to school, I stopped reaching out to people, but the one person I kept in contact with was Fred. And Fred kept telling me, you're gonna get back into school. We're gonna get you back in school. And I finally got back in school, but a couple months later, he left me.
Yes, I transitioned yet again, but I transitioned to Mentor Nebraska. A lot of times when we work with students, we tell them to chase your dreams, follow your hopes and aspirations. But how often as adults do we truly do that? Do we live through our students and motivate them to follow our dreams while we remain idle? I wanted him to see the reflection that you see in the mirror. So I transitioned to Mentor Nebraska as the Associate Director of Outreach and Engagement, led by our fantastic Executive Director, Melissa Mayo, immediately supported by Susie Owens, Director of Strategic Partnership, and assisted by Associate Director of Program and Training and Development, Mr. Christopher McCrory. So a lot of people talk about legacy. What defines a legacy and what is your legacy? Well, I can tell you what my legacy is, and my legacy is not defined by my personal accomplishments. My legacy is not defined by how far I go. My legacy is defined by how far Trey goes. So I stand here today and tell you that my legacy is so bright. You know, I speak a lot about being a bridge builder, and I encourage you guys to be bridge builders. And so as we conclude our presentation today, I would like to recite that very same poem. An old man going a long highway came at the evening, cold and gray, to a chasm vast and wide and steep, with waters rolling, cold and deep. The old man crossed in that twilight dim. The sullen streams had no fears for him, but he turned when faced the other side and built a bridge to span the tide. Old man, said a fellow pilgrim near, you're wasting your strength with building here. Your journey will end at the ending day. You never again will pass this way. You crossed this chasm deep and wide. Well, I built this bridge to span the tide. That builder lifted his old gray head, good friend, in the path I've come, he said. There followeth after me today a youth whose feet must cross this way. He too must cross in that twilight dim. Good friend, I am building that bridge for him. Thank you.
Legacy is a powerful word. It means the continuation of something, but we have to be here in order to do that. From comic book heroes to budding STEM careers, our speakers today have shown us what potential looks like in real time. Accessibility, diversity, and visibility have all been common themes today. As a self-made entrepreneur, freelance theater professional, and mentor success story, it has been a joy to hold space with you today. To inspire and be inspired in return is a great honor to me. I'm reinvigorated to go out into the world and be better. Now, I wrote this before James spoke earlier, and it says, Whitney Houston said it best, but I guess it was amorous. The children most definitely are our future, and as we know now, our present. And we have to teach them well about exploration, self-expression, and community. It's our duty to teach our younger generations to dream unbound. As we leave today, I want you to take with us the energy of our speakers. I want us to rededicate ourselves to the furthering and the widening of our beautiful mentor community. We can do this simply by showing up and sharing space, sharing energy, sharing our stories. Each and every one of you has a message and a necessary voice, and we want to hear it. Sharing our voices and stories is the best way to help people understand the impact of mentoring and just how important that is. Let us all be the reason a child dreams. In closing, please welcome to the stage Tim Wills.
One more round of applause for Darius, a legend in the making, a Broadway star. Thank you very much, Darius, for your help today. You know, we're at the end of a very busy few days. It started off with Capitol Hill Day and your advocacy there. We opened up this summit hearing about an incredible story of opportunity and hope in Jared Harper, who went through a whole lot, and still the mentors in his life kept him on track. We heard that there's still more work to do so that 1 in 3 young people can have a mentor in their life to help them be successful. We then heard that young people all over this world, both right here at home and internationally, are finding their own voice and advocating on their own behalf. And just now you heard the stories of these pairs of mentors doing incredible work all over this country. This is a proud moment for all of you in this room to know that the work that we do each day matters. It has an effect on real people's lives, and they're walking humans right upon each of us who've benefited from mentoring. So thank you again so very much for the work that you do every day in your communities. To close out our summit here, in your app, if it's working for you, in your app, pull up the summit survey. Make sure you provide feedback so that we can continue to improve this experience going forward. You'll have access to the app and some of the documents from the workshops you've attended in that app for the next 30 days. So please take advantage of that. You know, this summit would not have been possible without a whole bunch of really incredible human beings. First and foremost, our team at Mentor National and our host of affiliates who've chipped in to help us, but our entire team at Mentor National, it takes to put this on, including our event manager, Kathija. Thank you so much for your work on this event. You know, I think it was about 30 days ago that we had to switch whole hotels. And so huge shout out to the Marriott Marquis for bringing us into their family over here, moving us a block and a half to continue this great conference here. And then behind the scenes, who you don't see behind the scenes, Jennifer and the staff at Sapphire Events, integral part of this event. So thank you to the Sapphire team as well. We look forward to seeing all of you all at the Renaissance next year. Possibly will be called a Westin, January 24th through the 26th, right here in DC again. You know, one of the things that was said just a moment ago in this session, all great mentors start as scared mentees. That struck me. That hit me, all right? Continue to do great work. Safe travels home. Thank you for joining us at the 13th Annual Summit. Thank you.